All right, so the situation in Venezuela is getting even worse. Venezuela has been saying that the U.S., along with the criminals in the so-called opposition party, uh, have been involved in sabotaging the electrical grid. It's gotten so bad down there because it's going on day 5 that people have been seen taking water from sewer drainage to use in their homes. The Never mind the fact that they can't get fuel or other resources to power generators, while this while 80%, and that's what's being reported, and probably 80% of the grid does not include those sections where the opposition lives. So, uh, in the U.S. and others have said, "Oh no, we're not involved. It's old infrastructure." Yeah, I don't believe it. We've seen too much crying wolf by the U.S. and the Western nations uh, to take it for anything but for abject lies. And so here's my assessment. My assessment, and I've made a video about this before, and this was some years back, that the U.S. is going to invade Venezuela. And with now the official pulling out of all embassy staff in Venezuela, U.S. embassy staff in Venezuela, the diplomats and everybody else, and basically shutting down the embassy down there, which Maduro in Venezuela had told them to do, and that was weeks ago. But the U.S. has ignored those orders, and went so far as to escalate things with this so-called humanitarian aid, which no doubt probably had weapons, communication, and other stuff, while telling it's food and medicine, which there are too many credible reports stating that there was in fact no such thing as medicine, and so on and so forth. Um, I am stating now the invasion is on. The U.S. will invade, whether using U.S. troops or using the puppets regimes down in South and Central America. So understand the U.S. will get involved with air power and probably with naval power, and to blockade Venezuela, and more than likely the invasion will start from the Colombian side, and possibly the Brazilian side. Although Bolsonaro is full on in support of an invasion, but he is getting blocked by his own people in his government. But Bolsonaro is that dictator down there. He's a fascist dictator, and he will and if he can get enough of the military, and there's military personnel down there, ranking military personnel in Brazil, that are stating they don't they do not think it's a good idea, and that they are against using military force, and basically starting a war. Now, as I said, Colombia more than likely will, as Duque is been in the pocket of the U.S. And he's a good little puppet, and will do everything that he's told to do. So expect that, and there's also credible reports that U.S. Military personnel are in Colombia, as well as in southern Central America, which is a hop, skip, and a jump. So understand that the invasion is on. The fact that the U.S. has pulled its embassy staff, the criminal dictators that we have in Washington have pulled the embassy staff, is a surefire indication that a military invasion is on the way, and it could be that they've already started. But I expect that within before the month of March is over, we'll probably see it happen. But there's a warning I want to place to the criminals who are in Washington and in the state houses and cities and councils all across city councils and state and all that. There is a rumbling, a major rumbling going on all across the nation, and and the passive masses. The passive masses are not willing to take much more, and the tea kettle is ready to explode. It's softly whistling now, but that softness is getting louder and louder and louder. And because people are starting to come to understand that they are under attack, and that laws do not matter, rules do not matter, regulations do not matter, and that the people have become nothing more than commodities, and to be used and thrown away. And so it brings me to an interesting piece where Henry Kissinger is talking in the White House with what's his name, Nixon, and Henry turns to Nixon and says, I think we better get ready for those people outside to come storming in and lynch us. And that is what it's coming to right now. So, for those of you who have any level of sanity left, I'd strongly suggest that those who call themselves law enforcement and those in the that serve in the military, and those that are in the intelligence, and you in the judicial system, I strongly suggest that you start being true representatives, because when this pops, you're going to be one of the first to go, and people are going to come with pitchforks, and these pitchforks are going to be shoving up your ass. You're going to be crucified and killed. I'm saying in blunt terms. They're going to come after you, and they're going to do horrible things to you. So I suggest that you smarten up, gain some sanity, gain some perspective, and actually serve and represent as you are obligated to do. Because that's just going to be saving your skin. Because it won't stop there. For those of you who are the wealthy oligarchs, the shadow rulers, the ones that own the corporations, the media, the centers of education, or quote unquote education, those that own the banks and control the finances, you're also going to get it. Those that own the all these corporations, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, GM, Ford, Chrysler, Walmart, the Kraft Foods, all of you. Johnson and Johnson, Dow Chemicals. They're coming. They're going to come for you. They're going to drag you out of your homes, and they're going to tear you apart. Understand. This is a warning. That is what you've brought it to. Howard Schitz of Starbucks. You're also going to be another one of those. And there's a guy, a billionaire, out of Washington State. He started something called Pitchfork Economics. He's been talking about exactly what what I just say. But even he's going to have to be concerned. So he should go hide, not because he's like these other criminal assholes. At least he's doing something to ameliorate. Thinks he's doing something to ameliorate the rising tide of rage and anger for the obscenities being done by the so-called legitimate people in the country. But I call you the legitimate criminals. And while I have no malice for I can't think of the guy's name, but I will say that not many are informed as me about you and what you have been doing for years now, and so I don't want to see you as a casualty. And if you are like the gentleman I just talked about, and you've been talking about it, I suggest you bunker down, because that's what it's coming to. And it's not just in the United States. It's happening all across Europe. It's happening in Australia. It's happening in New Zealand. It's happening in the Middle East. It's happening everywhere. If you're a decent person, and you've used some of the mechanisms, the illegal mechanisms that allowed you to reach wealth and status, then I suggest you bunker down, and because there's not going to be any sanity, and everybody who is considered to have the have-nots are going to get you. You know, I wouldn't even put it past that I might even be targeted, and that's because I own a home. You know, and I don't live in a prosperous area, but that's the level of insanity that's going to rise, and I guarantee you, when the Venezuela invasion happens, the U.S. criminals are going to have to worry more. Are going to have more than they can handle because there's going to be an uprising, a violent uprising on the domestic front, and the Hillary Clintons and the Trumps and the Bushes and the Jamie Dimons and the Rex Tillersons and all of you and the Betsy DeVosses, the Steve Mnuchins, all of you will be targeted. The Koch brothers will be targeted. You are right now at a dangerous level. Because when people stop worrying about the consequences, and that's where it's time to go, when people start to worry, be concerned about consequences, that's when things get really dangerous. Not just for the those of you I just talked about, but for everybody. Because rage often forgets morality and ethics. Rage makes us stop thinking. So keep playing with fire, and you will be burned. And you don't have to wait to go to hell. You're gonna feel the fury here and now.